All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 2017 Indianapolis Access and Inclusion Awards. My name is Dustin Gilmer. I'm the project assistant for the Office of Disability Affairs. First off, today I want to thank all of our sponsors, Sokoa, Tangram, Indianapolis Yellow Cab, and the Arts Council for helping us put this event on. We couldn't have done it without the support of our local businesses, organizations, and individuals to help put this event on. Today we celebrate 27 years since the passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act by honoring those who have made a significant impact in the Indianapolis community by empowering people with disabilities to reach their full potential. The Office of Disability Affairs works with various city departments to help achieve the goal of access and inclusion for all its citizens and visitors. It's our goal to help to create a barrier-free city where everyone has equal access and opportunity. To start off today's event, I would like to introduce the chair of the Mayor's Advisory Council on Disability, Kelly Sampson. Kelly has been a member of the MACD for several years now and has taken on the responsibility of the chair of the council. She's been an integral part of helping plan this event, and we couldn't do it without her. So, Kelly.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank our exhibitors for being here today, our interpreters, our piano players, and I want to recognize Case is the chair of the events committee and the rest of the events committee for doing all of the hard work to get ready for today. We really appreciate that. I wish I had time to introduce all of the council members individually, but we're on kind of a schedule. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. You guys really do a lot of hard work here in your jobs, in your personal lives, just to work on inclusion in the Indianapolis community. As Dustin said, we are recognizing the 27th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, but several years before that, the MACD was formed with the mission to promote the inclusion and empowerment of people with disabilities within the Indianapolis community and advise the mayor and city administration on issues that impact people with disabilities. With that, I would like to hand it over to Mayor Hogsett to say a few words before we begin the awards presentation.
Well, good morning. As you can see, Kelly and I are still back in the Stone Age. We're using paper. Dustin, of course, is the future, and he's already reading off technology. So forgive me for bringing out all of my papers today, but I am honored to be with you, and I want to first and foremost welcome everyone to today's ceremony. As both Dustin and Kelly have identified, appropriately so, 27 years ago tomorrow, I think, the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law. And on that momentous and celebratory day, President George H.W. Bush remarked, and I quote, "This act is powerful in its simplicity," end quote. A statement made true by the fact that this act assured those living in this country with a disability the very rights upon which America itself was built: independence, freedom of choice, control over one's life. Ever since its signing, Americans with disabilities have been protected by that act. However, much like the Civil Rights Act of 1964, one can't help but wonder why it took our society so long to put such actions into law. So while we celebrate those in our community today who promote the inclusion and the empowerment of people with disabilities here in Indianapolis, today also should serve as a reminder, a moment to reflect on the vigilance required to protect the very ideals inherent to what America was founded upon, that all are created equal. In 1999, Dan Ward went to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway during a practice session with a pit pass in his hand. But Dan didn't make it into the pits that day. He was denied entry because he was wheelchair bound. Yes, even though it had been 9 years since the signing of the act, the largest sporting venue in the world, the crowning jewel in many respects of Indianapolis, the venerable, iconic Indianapolis Motor Speedway, was not ADA compliant. So fast forward to 2013, when the Indianapolis Motor Speedway announced that it would reach full compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was a landmark settlement between the federal government and the IMS, made bittersweet by how it served as a reminder that progress takes time, that the march toward equality continues, even to this day. I was the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana at that time, and I can assure you that it was no small feat for my office and all of those involved, but it was one we unabashedly pursued because it was the morally right and just thing to do. Indeed, the power lies in the simplicity. For every time you see a ramp leading into a building beside a set of stairs, know that it was no small feat. Each time you have to park a little further from the grocery store because of a spot marked in blue, know that it was no small feat. And when those we recognize today are on stage to receive their awards, know that it was no small feat in getting there. They also know the vigilance required to protect the rights of all people. They are some of our community's true leaders, and they should serve as an inspiration for us all. We do, after all, live in Indianapolis, a city that welcomes all. It is they that make it so. And so it is. We celebrate. I thank you.
We'll get started with the awards presentations with the Employer Award. The Employer Award is designed to recognize an individual, business, or organization in the Indianapolis community that has demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to providing career training, employment, and advancement opportunities to people with disabilities. I would like to introduce Ann Stevenson from Goodwill Industries to present this award.
Good afternoon. This year's employer recognition is given to the founder of Scotty's Brewhouse and Three Wise Men restaurants. Scott Wise is an Indiana native and comes from a family of entrepreneurs in Delaware County. Scott opened his first restaurant near the Ball State campus in 1996. The Wise family was well known for their dedication to their community, and that attribute was not lost on Scott. After experiencing his own health issues, Scott had a renewed spirit for giving back to the community, and that had helped his business grow. One passion was providing opportunities for individuals with disabilities. When approached by the Arc of Indiana to partner in the hospitality training program, the Erskine Green Institute, he needed very little convincing to be a part of that program. Not only was it the right thing to do, but he fully understood the value of hiring people with disabilities had on business. Scott not only embraced the new training center, he implemented a hiring initiative throughout his organization in central Indiana and has hired between 80 and 100 individuals with disabilities across all of his restaurants. Scott's managers have embraced this initiative and have developed partnerships with several community providers with a goal of having a workforce of 10% having a disability. These partnerships have been extremely successful, and many individuals are experiencing competitive employment in their communities. The MACD is proud to name Scott Wise and his organization as this year's employer recipient.
So I really want to win the Best Acceptance Speech Award. So I thought that if I said something about free beer after this, that... But I don't own the company anymore, so I can't make that offer. Thank everyone here. Let me start by saying that I have my mom's emotions, and I don't make it through any speech without crying. 5 years ago, I got a brain infection called viral encephalitis and came very close to dying. And it didn't change who I was, it just, I think, amplified the little boy from Yorktown, Indiana that two really great parents raised. And being in this business of hospitality just made perfect sense for me. I'm a people-pleasing person. I want to make everyone happy all the time. And I think that all that did, that work that they put into this little boy, was to say you treat people equally and with respect and with love. So this award, I don't think should be called an award. I don't mind calling it recognition. Because what I'd like to do what we've been honored several times around the country in the past couple of years for doing this type of work. And I don't feel right accepting an award for doing something that you should be doing as people out of the goodness of our hearts, to treat other people with respect and inclusion and give people opportunities that are so often not given that opportunity. So all I'm doing is accepting this recognition because of great people around me from Goodwill Industries and others that understand the work that we're putting in is here to show, if I can go around the world and I can show other people as we grow Scotty's Brewhouse across the country, that everyone can employ people, just like it's not a disability, it's not a not ability, it's just a different ability. And I'm honored and happy to be one of those people leading the charge. And I thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank the group that's here, the Mayor's Council, Kelly and Case. Thank you all for honoring us with this recognition. And I accept this on behalf of all the parents and industries and all of you out there that have fought the fight, that don't always get the opportunities that everybody else gets. I promise you that I'm working hard to make a difference. So, thank you.
The Accessibility Award is designed to recognize an individual, business, or organization in the Indianapolis community that has made exceptional contributions to eliminate barriers to ensure persons with disabilities can access and participate in events, programs, and activities. These are contributions to any and all aspects of the community life in Indianapolis, including art, culture, recreation, leisure, worship, and social life. I'd like to introduce Christine Dahlberg, the Executive Director of the Governor's Council for People with Disabilities, to present the award.
Hello. Good afternoon. I guess it's afternoon now, isn't it? Or close. When Elizabeth asked me to introduce her and help in Indy Pride's work on access, I was very flattered. Elizabeth Longcore is a graduate of a Governor's Council advocacy training program that just was finished in May. It's a year-long program that also includes developing community projects. And Elizabeth's passion is for inclusion and access for children and adults with disabilities. And so she turned that passion into a community project, working with Indy Pride to make their festival, their parade, everything about Indy Pride accessible and available to every citizen in Indianapolis and beyond, because Indy Pride attracts people from far beyond just the Indianapolis area. So she is their new accessibility coordinator, and the leadership of Indy Pride just embraced the entire thing. They were very supportive of her, and resulted in Indy Pride being one of the most accessible fairs or festivals that probably Indianapolis has ever hosted. And so she's going to turn that success, along with Indy Pride, into advocacy in the future for other fairs and festivals. And most particularly, coming up soon, there's going to be an Interpride not a festival, but an Interpride conference here in Indianapolis. It's a global conference for people that do Pride events all across the nation. And so they're going to come to Indianapolis, and they're going to learn from Elizabeth and the other members of the Access Group for Indy Pride and other organizations that helped with this about how to make their fairs and their access, their Pride festivals accessible. So you're going to hear a lot from Elizabeth in the future with her Global Accessibility Project, which she's the founder of, in addition to her work with Indy Pride. So I'm not going to go on too long because I want to give Elizabeth as much time as possible to talk about what she's up to and what Indy Pride has done. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Christine. Oh, I'm kind of thank you, Christine, and thank you for coming. I would also quickly like to introduce Jason Hinton Nolendor. Oh my gosh, it's like
all the names.
You have all of them, hyphens. He is our president of the Indy Pride Board, as well as Chris Hamburg. He is our new executive director for Indy Pride, actually the very first one that we've ever had. Just to echo kind of what Christine had said, they have been amazing from the get-go. I have worked with a lot of nonprofit organizations over the years, probably the last 10 years, a lot of which actually, for the most part, are disability-specific organizations. And it's really disheartening when you go to these events or these places that are supposed to be for public accommodation, particularly when they're hosted by people that purport to serve people with disabilities, and they seem to be the most inaccessible places that you can go to. So I don't think I have to preach to the choir when I say you can definitely identify the organizations that are run by people without disabilities for people with disabilities, because you see that in its implementation and execution of the inclusion and access of your other people that have come to join us. So as a member of the LGBTQ community myself, I would attend Indie Pride festivals as well, and just stew. So like my other award recipient over here who comes from a place of goodness in his heart, I come from anger. So I'm on a different side of the spectrum. You know, so while we sit here and celebrating the anniversary of the signing of the ADA, we've come a long way, but let's not kid ourselves with the fluff that this is so amazing that we've just have no barriers to work for. I mean, the fact that we still use language like wheelchair bound in and of itself goes to show that there are attitudinal barriers as well to social inclusion in our society. So when I would go to our festivals and just literally just take pictures everywhere I go, that was kind of my plan of attack, is to make a photo collage, because that way I'm not just one person coming at you with just, again, anger stealing from me. This isn't just me. These are the people that we serve. These are people that are part of our community that cannot equally participate in everything that we have, so what can we do to fix it? And like I said, when I approached Jason, I was actually prepared to have a fight, and I was kind of disappointed as a confrontational person that I didn't have to, because he was like, yeah, we absolutely need to do that. And that's something that I have recognized even over the years in working with people, and when we identify accessibility needs in the community, it's not always just because, you know, people just don't want to do it. And more times I notice people don't know how to do it, or they're just afraid to maybe say or do the wrong thing because, again, they don't have that knowledge base or know who to connect with to help them, which doesn't help the issue either, because point being, then you still have that barrier of access because then nothing is being done. So I am so truly grateful and appreciative for Indie Pride, like I said, not only trying to lead the way with this, but absolutely making it a priority. And especially now post-election, you know, we're seeing all the social justice activism and political momentum that's taking place, you know, all the rallies and all of the marches and everything that are taking place. I mean, I have never seen so many different marginalized groups come together to be visible allies for each other until now, so that's been a wonderful silver lining. But at the same time, there's a complete lack of visibility of people with disabilities, not only in the inclusion of them and their issues, but certainly even in their participation at these types of events. And so with working with Indie Pride, you know, and I'm not here to sit in front of you either with all of them and say, yeah, follow us, we're the leaders, we do it great. We're actually very humble in saying we did not. And so, but we recognize that, and more importantly, recognize that we have got to do better and what needs to be done to make that happen. And so when they kind of let me take over and we put a group together with different organizations that we work with, so much has been accomplished this year regarding not only learning the experiences that people might have when they frequent out into the community or try to go to some of these different events, but certainly how we can help in making that better. And so not only have they been a huge support with the community and vocally, and I mean literally from the top of their organization all the way down. I've never experienced that before in any organization that I've worked with, so thank you guys so much. But even within our own community, it helped bring awareness to our other members of the community that do not have disabilities and how we can work on that intersectionality of different identities and how to kind of make more inclusive societies. So not only did they do that, but they were huge financial support as well. So they literally put their money where their mouth is and are investing into this so that not only can we make our community stronger, but what we can do to make Indianapolis stronger and more inclusive as well. And I also want to take this moment to say too, with Indie Pride, like I said, it really was a community effort in every way possible that you can imagine. Excuse me, as Christine had said, there's the Governor's Council for People with Disabilities that has the Partners in Policymaking program. A bunch of their also graduates joined us to be part of the team, our access team. So we literally had a group of people that, again, were not people without disabilities telling us what we should or should not do. You know, what is the cost measures of this? What is the feasibility? These were people that this is their daily lived experience. They know, they are the experts. So they were the ones that came together for months working on, here's the different ways that we can be more accommodating. And we're not trying to go for compliance, we're trying to go for welcoming. And those are two very different things when you go out into the, wherever you may go, actually. Also, I would like to thank Accessibility Center for Independent Living. They are the ones that hosted our meetings. for the site, so that not only was it an accessible place to do it, but also individuals who were welcome to come to our meetings, they handled any kind of accessibility accommodation they may need. Indiana Disability Rights was a huge help from the very beginning when Jason and I met with them. They helped us actually organize a community focus group so that we could bring people from the public out as well and kind of get as much feedback as we possibly can, and take the criticism. You have to learn from the mistakes so that you can address them and do better. And then I also would like to thank the Indiana Association for the Deaf. Their new president, Trevor Baldwin, is here with us today too, and they have also been integral in helping us figure out, well, how can we reach out to that community? Because disability is not a one-size-fits-all thing. There are so many different aspects to it, and if we're truly going to say we're being inclusive, then we need to be inclusive, and that means working with a wide variety of people and the different support needs that they may have. So I just want to thank you. That's why Christine let me talk, because she knew I would have no problem using up all my time and then some. Thank you, Indy Pride and Mayor Hogsett, and that is all.
Ellen Gabovich, the recipient of the Exceptional City Service Award, is on much-deserved vacation this week, so she couldn't join us today. She's worked closely with the Office of Disability Affairs when there have been issues of accessibility or accommodation, and we appreciate her for all of her efforts. Finally, the James Polly Lifetime Service Award. This award was established in memory of James K. Polly, an early leader and chairman of the MACD, and who was a lifelong advocate and active volunteer in the disability community. This year's recipient is well known to lots of people in this room for his contributions promoting the inclusion and independence of persons with disabilities in the Indianapolis community and really across the state as well. To present the James Polly Lifetime Service Award, I would like to introduce Patrick Sandy, President, Easter Seals Crossroads.
Thanks to the MACD for everything that they do and for putting together this wonderful celebration today. It's incredible. And I love the weather that you ordered, because it just like couldn't be any more perfect, right? I too am a kind of a backward technology person, so you're in very good company, Mayor Hogsett. In fact, I've just recently moved away from stone tablets, so I'm feeling really good about paper. So don't make me feel bad about it. As Kelly stated, the recipient of this award is an individual who has demonstrated outstanding contributions promoting the inclusion and independence of persons with disabilities in the Indianapolis community. This year's recipient exemplifies all of that and more, not only in the local community here in Indianapolis, but really throughout central Indiana, actually across the Midwest, actually across the United States, and in fact, through his podcast reach, the Assistive Technology Update, is known internationally for his contributions related to persons with disabilities. He is an extremely strong advocate, a leader in the field of assistive technology and disability services. Now, I've had the pleasure of knowing this individual and working with him closely actually for over 20 years. And I guess I could say, have any of you ever known somebody whose brain is on overdrive all the time and they just come up with idea after idea after idea? Any of you know anybody like that? Good. Well, oh, you don't count because you work at the same place I do. You're talking about the same person. The recipient's brain is like that. In fact, if you know somebody, it's like that person times 2. Now, say when I first started working with this individual, I was really impressed with all the ideas that they came up with, but it started to wear me out because you felt like you needed to do something with them. And it was really hard to manage all those ideas and all those activities. Today, he still has just as many ideas as he ever did. But what he has now is some maturity, a great deal of leadership. He is able to put those ideas into a plan. He's then able to inspire other people to help him implement that plan. And then he's able to help make sure that plan is executed smoothly all the way to the end. His opinions are sought after. His leadership is respected and valued. And I personally am so proud to have him as part of the leadership team at the organization I'm affiliated with. It is absolutely my honor and great pleasure to introduce to you this year's recipient of the James Pauley Lifetime Service Award, Mr. Wade Wingler.
I'm the assistive technology guy. I really have to use a phone to make this happen. Wow, I'm humbled and I'm flattered. I should start with some thank yous because I'll forget. First, thank you to God. Second, thank you to my beautiful wife, Jenny. Baby doll, would you stand up, please? Can we have a round of applause for her? Also, I'm flattered that so many of my family members, my children are here, my friends and colleagues are here. I need to thank Easter Seals and Patrick. It's an organization that supported me and endured me sometimes. But this organization has a clear and consistent mission that includes working to increase the independence of people with disabilities. I also should thank Mayor Hogsett and the city of Indianapolis for being a city that embraces inclusion of all kinds and in many different ways, but today, most especially, the inclusion of people with disabilities. I gotta say that a number of people have asked me about receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, because I think I got 20 years or so left in me before I call it quits, and I'm ready for retirement. And my plan is, good Lord willing, to do that and to serve individuals with disabilities at Easter Seals for more years. It's a remarkable organization. I also need to acknowledge a remarkable young woman. Laura, are you here? So Laura Medcalf, raise your hand, Laura. She was very sneakily, I might add, instrumental in making this nomination happen. And she said some very sweet and powerful things about the impact that I have had on her life. Truth be told, she has made a tremendous impact on me and my life and everybody else around her. So Laura, thank you, not only for the award nomination, but the impact that you've made and her growing worldwide impact with a blog and a podcast that she does as well. So can we have a round of applause for Laura? While I have the podium, I'd like to issue a challenge to everybody here. We're in a time in our history where political wrangling is roiling. Popular culture tends to play to our lesser standards. Legislative priorities seem sometimes to be focused in areas other than the inclusion of people with disabilities, so we need to be vigilant. We need to stay informed. We need to pray. We need to speak truth in small ways and large about inclusion and the principles that James Pauley embraced over his lifetime so that those will ring true now and for future generations. We all need to be proud of what we did at this time, how we behaved on our watch, the time when we had a chance to work together for the inclusion of people with disabilities in our community. I'm humbled, I'm flattered, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that everybody here in this venue today, everybody in the disability community, and everybody in the community of Indianapolis and beyond will accept this challenge of tirelessly working to include people with disabilities now and into the future. Thank you.
This concludes our award ceremony. Thank you all for coming today. If you haven't had a chance to stop by any of the exhibitor tables, you have stop time to do that. Thanks for coming.